Hello and welcome. My name is Anna Rathbin, and I'm the founder and CEO of Grenadilla Advisory LLC, a brand new investment and financial advisory company. Now, some of you may know that in addition to being an investment professional, I am also a classically trained musician. I am a soprano, in fact. Now, because I've had these two topics, mingling in my head for many decades, it seems obvious to me that these two things should go together. But it may not be so obvious to a lot of people out there. When people find out that I do both, some will say, oh, it makes sense, math and music. They go together. And it's true. There's definitely an overlap between the two disciplines. But just thinking about math and music and then how they may, take up similar or same places in your brain may just be scratching the surface of how the two are related. So I've created this series to invite you to join me in discovering and exploring how two seemingly almost completely disconnected topics and disciplines could actually have some commonality. Now let's start with the name, the chamber music mindset. Chamber music is a type of music that is meant to be performed in a small space. It is designed to create intimacy between the performers and the audience. The pieces or the musical compositions are also written so that the players, the musicians, are also talking to one another, and there's an interconnection there. Chamber music is a deeply moving, highly intellectual, and when you're experiencing it, a complex experience. It is designed to make you think. This is a music making process that I admire so much that I wanted to bring the mindset of chamber music into this series, hoping that that is the way in which I relate to you. So what you will get here is not necessarily just news. I will bring you the news, but not just the news. I hope to bring you commentary that is thematic, timely, event-driven, and also my thoughts and opinions, interpretations on what is going on and why. And hopefully I'll be able to do that in a highly relatable and easily digestible way. This is a very exciting part. I will also be inviting guests to talk about special topics pertaining to investing, money, crypto, or blockchain, as well as music, the arts, the life in general, and general human interest. After all, my company is about investing. Of course, but investing isn't just about growing your assets. It's growing your assets and prudently allocating capital so that you're investing for something, for the causes you care about, and for the people you care about. Now, I have many friends who have helped me through the process of founding Grenadilla Advisory as well as this series. Too many to name, but I do have to give the musical credit because you just heard it. What you just heard is the opening of the piece Schumann's Adagio and Allegro from the album called Endeavor. It was recorded in 2019 and released by Albany Records. On the piano is Mark Shapiro, and on oboe is my very own husband, Jeffrey Rathbin. So I can tell you confidently that the artist himself gave me permission to use the opening of this recording. He's a wonderful man, but these are certainly perks of being married to a world-class oboist. Now on to investing in economics. I guess it's episode 1. That's exciting. Okay, on any given day, I wake up and I start listening to the news. I get caught up in European, Asian markets. I get caught up on things that happened while we were sleeping in the Eastern time zone, all of these things. And what I'm looking for, even throughout the day, is there any news that's going to change my mind about how I should invest for my clients? Or is there anything that continues to strengthen and confirm my views? That's really what I'm doing. I'm sort of trying to edit and improve upon my decisions with every news article that's meaningful. Now, last week we got a string of news that were very popular to look at, like CPI, inflation data, and then retail sales, as well as consumer sentiment. And those are popular because they tell us something about the American consumer, as well as, inflation. We're always looking at inflation. The anticipation was that somehow, maybe, that the impact of tariffs might be embedded in there, and it would be able to tell us something about how these tariff policies are impacting the economy, and therefore how investments may change in the future, meaning will the equity markets go up or down? What will happen to fixed income markets, etc. Now, it was a big snooze. There wasn't anything groundbreaking or anything that was all moving in the same direction to say tariffs are doing this to the economy and therefore it's detrimental or positive, or it was actually a lot of nothing burger. But that also told us a lot. So number one, let's go through inflation first. Headline print at 0.2% month over month and 2.7% year over year. It was relatively in line with expectations. It actually surprised on the downside. But also, if we really thought tariffs were going to create inflation, we just didn't see it, right? Now, under the hood, there are signs of tariff impact. For example, in the core goods section in home furnishings, especially like curtains, anything with textiles, you've got a huge jump in prices, anywhere from 1% to 4.5% to 5% month over month. That's big. That's big, right? And those things are very trade dependent. But then on the flip side, auto parts and cars, prices fell. And those things are also trade dependent. So there's a lot of things that are canceling one another out. If everything were moving in the same direction, it would be easier to say that a certain tariffs are having a certain impact. But they were actually canceling themselves out. And in the aggregate, the numbers came in pretty benign. So that teaches us a lot about how difficult it is to actually do forecasting, economic forecasting, especially in something as complex as inflation. But it also tells us that maybe we're a bit early in the game to be seeing any kind of groundbreaking impact of tariffs. Those were June numbers. Right now, the Trump administration is saying August 1st as a new deadline. I would hold that date pretty loosely in your hand, but nevertheless, that is the date we have. And so we'll see. We'll see when we get into the later summer and maybe in the fall months, maybe something more definitive, something more tangible will appear in the inflation data. It might not. Now, let me just talk about tariffs causing inflationary impact. There's a lot of pressure out there for people like myself to come out and say tariffs are inflationary. But here is why I don't really come out and say that. There's a lot of pressure, trust me. And the reason is because it's a very complex topic. Theoretically speaking, tariffs are not inflationary. It's just tax. So, here is the widget or the good that you're going to buy and the price of that widget. And then what you're doing is you're literally tacking on a certain amount of tax. It's like a tail, or maybe it's down here because it's a tail. I would look at that, again, we're still in the theoretical realm, as a step up in price rather than prices that continue to feed on itself and continue to spiral up. That creates a rate of change increase, and that is what inflation is. That price of that underlying good may stay the same, in which case you don't really have inflation. You have a one-time step up in price. Now, this is all theoretical. In the practical world, if you were to ask me, are tariffs inflationary? I would say it depends. And that's why I think it's still early to know, because it takes time for us to see how this will all pan out. So what have received the tariff status, you're getting tariffed, are goods that are coming over from the outside world, outside of the United States. Now, goods prices go up. That means people in the service industry that need to buy goods in order to provide the service, their costs are going up. If the increase in cost of the goods area actually then spills into the service sectors, think restaurants, right? If restaurants are importing things from outside the United States, that prices are going to go up. It's either going to eat into their margins or they're going to have to raise prices. Restaurants are considered to be service sector. So you see what I mean? It can actually have a contagion effect into the service sector of the economy, which is the larger side of the economy. If that happens, we're seeing signs, right? We're seeing signs. The other thing is on labor, in the labor market. Let's say it actually went, goods to services. Is it going to end there, or is it going to continue to fuel itself? That depends on wages. And let's say, boss, I need more money because everything is more expensive and this other company is willing to offer me more money. If employers feel the need to increase wages in order to keep talent, then that increases the wage growth. And if wage growth goes up, prices of goods go up, prices of services go up. This can actually cause a cycle, right? From year to year to year. And that would be something like inflation. So it really depends. We have not seen that. And it's too early. So I just wanted to make that distinction because I think it's too simple just to say tariffs are inflationary. There are a lot of moving parts here, and we do need to take a wait and see approach. And that is one of the reasons why the Fed is taking a wait and see approach. Now, I'm going to save this for episode 2. I am going to talk about Fed policy, interest rates, etc. And it's a little teaser I'm putting out there, but I am going to save that for episode 2 because it's too big of a topic to talk about now. And the second thing I'll talk about is in combination, the consumer sentiment by University of Michigan survey, as well as retail sales. It looks like we spent some money going shopping as well as eating out. Retail sales came robust, and consumer sentiment came in much better mood than we had expected. Now, if tariff impact were so horrible, we wouldn't be spending this much money and we would feel worse, right? So this was actually a surprise. In the upside, but certainly a surprise. This is all to say the impact of tariffs, to understand it, is too early, as I said before, but also this is a very, very complex subject. So too early to draw conclusions. Nice to have some positive surprises. And inflation being muted is also a positive surprise. So it was all in all a very good week. But for people who are wanting to see, more concrete evidence of where the economy is headed and just how big or little of an impact tariffs will have on the economy, it was a disappointing week. All right. So I said earlier, episode 2, I'm going to be talking about interest rates, the Fed, what I think the Fed should do versus what I think the Fed will do, and some ideas behind why we're probably going to make a policy mistake. I'm going to leave that teaser out there and end our first episode. Thanks for listening.